An overnight fire in Haverhill, Massachusetts flattened an old shoe factory and gutted 4 other buildings. And just what started the 4-alarm blaze is still unknown tonight. ABC's Jack Heath has more.
I feel very upset because they spend so much money and time to renovate this street, and it looks so beautiful. You know, would come down at night and the street lights, the old-fashioned street lights were on.
Scores of residents in the city of 50,000 stood on sidewalks, iced over with water from firemen's hoses, studying the fire's aftermath. The blaze destroyed 4 brick buildings that were built more than 100 years ago when another fire wiped out the same block in Haverhill's historic downtown. This fire started last night at 10:30 in a vacant building that was being renovated for apartments. Flames quickly ripped through the building that was once a shoe shop. An adjacent building caught fire, and 2 old tannery buildings in the rear also went up in flames.
About a half an hour goes by, the whole side of the wall caved in onto the next building, and then about half an hour later, the other building started. It was something else to see. Worst fire I ever see in my life.
Within the last 3 years, there's been a lot of work done. Significant that this street burned down 100 years ago and was rebuilt in about 1 year. That's why they call it the Year of the Phoenix.
19 communities assisted Haverhill firefighters. Only 2 firemen were injured. At one point, buses had to evacuate elderly residents from a nearby apartment building.
I think it's the first time that I've come in and seen that magnitude of fire with the exposures there and people in the buildings.
Tenants who lived in apartments above the burnt-out businesses spent today salvaging what personal possessions they could.
A lot of the small items that are worth a lot of money, and a lot of the pictures and stuff that means to us, As you can see, there's really not much left.
Officials say the damage estimates from this fire will top the $1 million mark. But as devastating as this blaze really was, Haverhill natives seem to feel that as they did in 1882, they can rebuild what fire has taken away. In Haverhill, Jack Heath.
Several firefighting units had a tough time putting out a hotel fire in Ohio today. The Harley Hotel caught fire shortly after 9 this morning, sending the guests out into the cold to watch their rooms go up in flames. Smoke temporarily overwhelmed several firefighters as the fire kept spreading from one area to the other in the building, and some firefighters fell through the roof at one point when it collapsed. No one was seriously injured, however. The cause of the fire and the total damage to the hotel has not yet been determined. Many house fires at this time of year are caused by buildup in the chimneys. And as 10 Eyewitness News reporter Elisa Streeter tells us, taking a few precautions and hiring a chimney sweep can make all the difference.
Larry Grant may not be dressed in tails and a top hat, but that's because chimney sweeping is serious business, a more complicated science than Mary Poppins' time, and an important one. This is the scene of a chimney fire 3 weeks ago. Another one 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, these were all limited to the chimney, but if it's bad enough, it can burn down the house. Grant says just a flip of his wrist could avoid this problem. Soot or creosote builds up in the chimney. Eventually, it's bound to catch fire if it's not cleaned.
I've gone to several that have been completely plugged, and usually the people call because they have no draft in their chimney and smoke coming back in the house.
Here are some pointers to avoid this problem. If you have a wood stove, experts say the chimney should be cleaned once a year. A fireplace chimney cleaning depends on its use, anywhere from 1 to 20 years. And a furnace chimney should be tested to see how often it needs cleaning. Now, an average cleaning runs anywhere from $50 and up. One of the greatest dangers lies in a gas furnace. If the chimney gets plugged up, carbon monoxide will back up into the house, and that can be deadly.
Certain feelings of nausea, dizziness, sleepiness, heart fluttering, any of these symptoms can be a result of a plugged up chimney.
So if you see a dark, limber figure perched high on a rooftop, don't panic. It's not a burglar, just a chimney sweeper trying to ease the fire department's burden. Elisa Streeter, 10 Eyewitness News.
And as Elisa told us, fire officials recommend an annual cleaning, but you can have your chimney tested to see exactly what it needs and when. Rescue workers are cleaning up the mess left by Hurricane Harry tonight. Winds of more than 125 miles an hour uprooted large trees and brought down power lines on the French island of New Caledonia. Many roads in the area had to be closed, and some villages were flooded by the heavy rains. Officials there say they expect more rain next week. What kind of weather can we expect for the rest of the week? Meteorologist Greg Playford will have the answer to that question in just a moment. A lot of movie buffs out there that hung with us tonight.
That was a good movie, though.
Yeah, it is a good movie.
Even the 10th time.
Yeah, no, I won't ask
No.
you. Wondering what the weather's going to be like when they wake up bleary-eyed tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning will be fine. I think Tuesday morning may be a little bit of a problem, and I think Thursday morning may be a little bit of a problem also. So that means tomorrow night, Monday night, everything starts to hit us then, I think. I think this week is going to be a very active week, unlike most of the past weeks that we've had. It's been fairly quiet, but we will now pay the price, 34, the day's high. At the Albany County Airport, low for the day is the current temperature. Morning low was 26, but again, the daily low is a current temperature of 23. Normals of 33 and 14 records for the day to 55 and 16 below zero. We have clear skies at the airport at 11 o'clock. It is the low temperature for the day at 23 degrees. Relative humidity at 67%. That will be going up later on during the day tomorrow as a storm system approaches with moisture. A rising barometer from 30-36. Winds have died down a bit. They were over 20 miles per hour earlier this evening. They're now down to 13. But if you take 13 mile per hour winds and a 23 temperature, the wind chill brings it down to about zero. And 2/100ths of an inch of liquid precipitation in the gauge at the Albany County Airport, and that was 2/10ths of an inch of snow. And these are temperatures around the state and the region. Let's look in New England first. At 11 o'clock, Burlington, Vermont at 20. That's Lebanon, New Hampshire at 20 also. Concord, New Hampshire at 20. And Beantown, Boston, checking in with 30. But well up north in New York State, Saranac Lake did not report in, but Watertown is already down to 0 under clear skies and radiational cooling. 9 at Messina, the Capital District, and along the Mohawk Valley, a little bit milder. The cold air has not reached our area yet, but it will later on. As the winds die down with the clear skies, we'll see radiational cooling. Some of the surrounding outside areas could get down in the single digits again, but that's Glens Falls at 16, and that's Albany at 23, Bennington, Vermont at 19, Pittsfield, Massachusetts at 21. The satellite map from earlier this evening, this is the remnants of a weak disturbance. It was in an area of low pressure in northern Maine, and some weak areas of energy moved through that touched off about 3 sections of snow squalls that moved through the area, and some of them were pretty heavy. Most of the area to the north of the Mohawk Valley had the accumulations, but the current satellite map shows the skies have cleared up, just some patchy clouds over near Binghamton, back up into the Syracuse area. But here's our next weather maker. It's a real big problem. All kinds of sleet, freezing rain, and snow already falling. I'll zoom in on a couple radars, but there's a ridge of high pressure over the Ohio Valley, and that's what will keep our skies clear and bring in the colder air later on tonight, but it will drift eastward and allow that moisture coming in. On the national scene, you can see one storm system. Really, it's an upper air disturbance with 2 weak areas of low pressure lagging it. Another frontal system will zip through to our north, will not play a role in our weather, but that ridge of high pressure that's giving us decent weather right now and a nice start to the day tomorrow will drift off to the east, and we'll get a return flow slowly of southerly and southwesterly winds during the day tomorrow, and that's going to be the problem. I think there'll be enough cold air anchored in over the region as this moisture, you can see it right now. This is the regional radar scan. I put St. Louis, Missouri in your pictures, and you can see some areas of moderate rainfall. So there's a chance tomorrow night and early on the day on Tuesday that we could get some moderate rain in the area. But this is all rain down through Missouri and moving back down to Kentucky and Tennessee. But back up to the north in Iowa, that is snow. Here's the larger scan for you. We have some snows back up into South Dakota, into Iowa, and we get a mixture of some sleet and some freezing rains with the colder air that's just around Illinois, and then it turns back into rain. So we have a real problem coming in starting late tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. But right now, it looks like it will be warm enough as this ridge finally drifts off and the storm system starts to pull in. But by Monday afternoon, we should start to see some of the warmer air trying to push up along the Atlantic coast. And I do believe by Tuesday morning, it should be warm enough on our way to work that it will be in the form of rain. Here is my forecast for the remainder of this evening. Mostly clear skies and cold temperatures. Lows falling down to about 10 to 15. Some of the outlying areas could get down in the single digits for tomorrow. A sunny start with clouds on the increase in the afternoon. Highs 30 to 35. Tomorrow evening, that's when the problem starts. Should start out as some snow and then mix with some freezing rain for a while, changing to all rain by morning, lows near 30. For Tuesday, rain and showers during the early part of the day. It should taper off in the afternoon, but be breezy and mild early with highs in the 40s to maybe close to 50 if there's a break of some sunshine. Southern Vermont and the Berkshires this evening, clear and cold, lows about 10 to 15. For tomorrow, sunshine in the early part of the day with increasing afternoon clouds, highs 30 to 35.
And
Next.
Go ahead.
No, you go first. You
No,
start.
no, that's okay.
Next chance of any significant snow looks to be maybe Wednesday night or into Thursday. We'll get through tomorrow night into Tuesday. Should be warm enough to end up as rain, but I'm a little bit more concerned about Wednesday night into Thursday as the storm moves through the Ohio Valley, but stays to our south, and it just skims out, and that may be a bit of a problem.
Could or could not be, depending on where it positions itself.
That's right. It's a little bit long. It's long-range
away
forecasts
right
are very
now. Yeah.
difficult. If the storm is a little bit farther to the south, we won't get any. If it's farther to the north, we'll mix again with the sloppy stuff.
The other thing I was going to say, cold in Messina, huh? Who would have guessed?
Who would have guessed? Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
February, it's cold in Messina.
Really. Thanks, Greg. You know, many sick children at Albany Medical Center's Children's Hospital can sleep a little easier tonight. If they could only understand, they'd know that a lot of people care. Today was the 3rd annual Ski for Preemies, hosted by our very own weatherman, Joe Sottile. There wasn't much snow today at the Albany Municipal Golf Course, but many local skiers turned out to help raise money anyway. How much money, you ask? More than $23,000 was pledged, and these donations will help the children in the intensive care unit. Well, there was an elephant and some monkeys on New Scotland Avenue today. Stick around and I'll tell you why. Well, to find out just what's going to come up on Eddie O'Brien's Sports Final show tonight, we're going to turn right now to Eddie O'Brien, who's standing by in his little sports den to tell us all about it. Eddie.
Well, coming up tonight on Sports Final, a little bit of everything, as always. We'll begin with college basketball. In recent days, including today's play, 4 of the top 5 teams in the nation have lost. So who will be number 1? I know we ask that question every week. Well, we ask it again tonight. Also, highlights from the NBA All-Star Game, where Carl the Mailman Malone delivers and the West wins. We'll show you extensive highlights from that. Also in hockey, the Adirondack Red Wings suffer a painful loss in overtime. We'll show you one of the most bizarre goals you are ever likely to see. And of course, we'll have golf and auto racing, tennis, figure skating, the sports spotlight, a whole bunch more. It's all coming up on Ed O'Brien's Sports Final in just a couple of minutes, so please keep it here.
Wouldn't do anything else but. Thanks, Eddie. Finally tonight, on any other day, the sign would read, "Please don't feed the animals." But not today, not at today's Pet Expo at the New Scotland Avenue Armory. Thousands of children were encouraged to feed, pet, and play with the animals. It was a day of cotton candy and face painting as well, along with merry-go-rounds and elephant rides. The children got a rare up-close and personal glimpse of exotic animals ranging from camels and giraffes to yaks and pygmy goats. If you missed the Pet Expo, keep your eyes open because this time next year, the zebras, the monkeys, the giraffes, the llamas, and all the other assorted creatures will be back for your entertainment, amusement, and education. And that is it for this edition of 10 Eyewitness News. We'll be back tomorrow morning with the first news of the day at 6:55. Ed O'Brien's Sports Final is coming up next. Have a good week ahead.
When you see news in the making, call the 10 Eyewitness News line at 462 WTEN.
This is Ed O'Brien's Sports Final. Tonight, it's a heartbreaking loss for Adirondack. The Wings get beat in sudden death. Another number 1 goes down in college basketball. This time it's Arizona. And even without Magic and Bird, the NBA All-Star Game delivers thanks to the mailman. Everybody know you are not watching a rerun, but once again, there will be a new number 1 in college basketball when the polls come out tomorrow. Arizona's stay at the top proves to be little more than a cameo appearance. Wildcats losing today at Oklahoma. Let's take a look at the action now from Norman. As Billy Tubbs is Sooners up by 2 at the intermission. Second half action now. Sean Elliott with a miss, gets his own rebound and follows it with authority. Arizona up by 7, but now here comes Oklahoma again. Mookie Blaylock for 3. The Wildcat lead down to 1. Now, holy cow, Batman off the miss by Blaylock. The ball gets knocked around. Stacey King with a rebound. Puts up the short jumper and draws the foul. The Sooners lead by 3. And now for Oklahoma, Todd Henry with the steal. He's going to go coast to coast. Jams it home. Oklahoma up 71-63. Elliott, meanwhile, won't pack this one in just yet. He leads Arizona with 26. Hits this one for 3. But the Sooners hold on. They win the game 82-80. So that leaves the door open for Louisville, you would think, to move into the top spot. First half action here, the buzzer beater by Derek Martin for UCLA, and the fans are going wild. This is a weird game at Pauley Pavilion today. Watch what happens right here now. Purvis Ellison puts it up for Louisville. And the ball knocks around Trevor Wilson. What the heck did he do there? Let's take another look at this now, because here's the shot by Ellison, and the ball rattles around, and Wilson reaches right up through the net and punches the ball back out. Denny Crum obviously wants goaltending. He doesn't get it. Now remember this play. Later on, off the turnover, UCLA's ball. Closing seconds now. Pooh Richardson with a shot. It's an air ball, but he will get the ball back. Puts it up this time. They call goaltending on Ellison, and UCLA escapes somehow with a 2-point win. Incredible. In Big Ten action, it's Purdue playing at Indiana, and there's the general addressing the troops. First, for the Hoosiers, this will be Hillman for 3. The shot is good, but the Boilermakers aren't through quite yet. Now back the other way. Here comes Purdue, and Tony Jones will take the shot and hit it here with about 30 seconds to go, and this ties the game. But Indiana has the ball, and Indiana has the last shot, and you know Bobby Knight has something up his sleeve.
7, 6. Edwards got it. Oh!
Indiana wins 64-62. Edwards, the high man for the Hoosiers, with 27. Jerry Tarkanian brings his towel and his UNLV running Rebels to Tobacco Road this afternoon. It's UNLV taking on NC State, and off the miss here by Stacy Augmon. David Butler jams it home. The Rebs lead 49-34 at the intermission. Now it's Rodney Monroe for 3. He has 35 in the game. Wolfpack down by 8 at this point. Later on, it will be Moses Scurry ahead of the field for the jam for the Rebs. And UNLV leads at this point by 9. Here's Monroe knocking down another one for 3. And that cuts UNLV's lead down to 3. Next time down the floor, Chris Corciani. To Howard to Lester, monster jam. State gets back within 1, but Anderson Hunt with the 3-pointer. UNLV up by 5, and the Rebs go on to beat NC State 89-80. And now in the ACC, it's Virginia and North Carolina. The feed here to J.R. Reed. He jams it home on his way to 10 points in the game. Balanced scoring for the Tar Heels, too. Here's Madden to Scott Williams, one of the 5 Carolina players in double figures in the game. Steve Bucknall will be the high man with 19, and Carolina beats Virginia 85-67. Well, there was no Magic, no Larry Bird, but there was a heck of an all-star game played today in Houston. The NBA stars going at it. Now, remember, in these things, the final score doesn't really count. The individual players and their abilities do. And take a look at this now. Clyde Drexler gets the feed from James Worthy. And Drexler, who starred at Houston, now plays for Portland, has a heck of a day. Speaking of great games, John Stockton sets the all-star record with 17 assists. That time he sets up his teammate, Karl Malone. Here's the mailman again, jams it home. Malone with 27 in the game. Now for the East squad, Isaiah out of the field for the layup. No. The give to Jordan, who jams it home. Michael Jordan with a big day. Pat Riley doesn't like what he sees. The West up by as many as 31. The East comes back second half. Isaiah bounced past to Jordan. And then it's Thomas taking the ball in himself. Splits the defense, goes into the land of the Giants in there and puts it home. Later on, it's Malone with the miss. The mailman gets his own rebound and puts it in. And take a look at this blind shot by Michael Jordan. Reverse shot, it's good. Kareem here, final all-star appearance, his final all-star skyhook. But Malone, the big star in the game, he's the MVP. The West beats the East. So now we get set for the second half of the NBA season. But first, a look back now at some first half highlights. right, so there you have it. One more basketball note. The Harlem Globetrotters, the self-proclaimed clown princes of basketball, they're not smiling tonight. Seems while they were out in Portland, Oregon last night for an appearance at the Memorial Coliseum there, somebody made off with their motorhome. No suspects. They did find the thing, but they say it was trashed pretty good. That's it for basketball. We have much more to come on Sports Final tonight. When we return, it's hockey. And for the Adirondack Red Wings, a heartbreaking loss at home this afternoon. All right, welcome back to Sports Final. The Adirondack Red Wings, playing their third game in as many days, suffer a heartbreaking loss this afternoon to the Maine Mariners. Let's take a look at the action now from the Glens Falls Civic Center, where Claude Scott, the happy trumpeter, was on hand to entertain the fans. And as it turns out, that would be one of the high points for the Wings today. Second period now. Mariners on the power play. Scott Harlow ties this game at 1. The Wings will come back and take the lead. Joe Murphy here on the rebound scores. Power play goal for Adirondack. The Wings lead 2-1. The fans are going wild. Then Glenn Murkowski with a big mistake here. Puts the puck right on Maine's Paul Bellardo's stick. And he ties it up at 2-2. Then Maine takes the lead. Scramble in front. Loose puck. Ray Podlaski puts it home. Maine goes up 3-2. We'll go to the third now. Tim Higgins with a drive. Mike Gober tips it on the way in. This ties the game at 3. And it forces it into overtime. Well, in sudden death now. Watch this. From the face-off, Alain Cote bounces it off the glass, takes a weird hop into the net. Maine beats Adirondack 4-3.
You know, that's the game of hockey, but it was an unusual goal and one that I've never seen before. The first time I've ever seen it. And I think it was a partition holding the plexiglass in. And it caught that, and it caught him moving the wrong way, and he couldn't get back to the net to make the save.
I don't feel really bad. I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's a tough way to lose. The team doesn't play great in the second period, but then we come back and we play unbelievable in the third. We outplayed them, and we had a couple chances, and their goalie made some big saves, and we got unlucky at the end.
At the very least, that's something you don't see every day. Meantime, in the NHL, a bruising game tonight down at the Garden. It's the Rangers and the Oilers going at it. Grant Fuhr, the #1 goaltender for Edmonton, he gets the night off. Now here's Brian Leach with a drive facing Bill Ranford, who made 36 saves in the game, but this one ties things up at 1-1. Edmonton regains the lead now. Norman Lacombe on the rebound scores, makes it 2-1 Edmonton. This is a bruising game. Mark Messier forced out early. Later on, Michel Petit takes out Yari Curry. Curry forced to the locker room. We don't know the extent of his injuries just yet. Anyway, Edmonton adds an empty net goal late in the game. They beat New York by the final score of 3-1. On to Chicago now. It's the Blackhawks and the Los Angeles Kings. And Wayne Gretzky is on fire in this game, gets the hat trick. That, by the way, is his 45th career hat trick. And in the process, in today's game, he ties yet another NHL record. Ties Marcel Dion, the Ranger, the former L.A. King, for the most 40-goal seasons. All right, later on, Mike.